Lincoln and Mack risk their lives to save Daisy. Hive attempts to create more Inhumans, and the Kree return to fix their mistake. Or so they think. One theme ties it all together. On this week's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Season 3, Episode 19, Failed Experiments. Alright, spoilers ahead, just so you've been warned. So another great episode, really just non-stop, pieced together nicely, no real wasted time at all in the episode. And again, this is something that Marvel has done consistently with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for the past few seasons, is as they get towards the end of the season, that big run-up of episodes are really kind of a non-stop, consistent, concise series of episodes, really with fine acting, fine writing, and just an awesomely put together episode. Now we get to see a little bit of the background of Hive, showing his past. Looks like as a Native American hunter captured by the Kree thousands of years ago, and then experimented on and creating who he was. And again, these experiments, this says failed experiments specifically, really are the consistent theme that run through this episode. Be it with Lincoln attempting the antiviral compound on himself, Mack trying to go and get Daisy from Hive's control, Hive attempting to create new Inhumans from the remaining heads of Hydra. Yeah, that worked out well. And then, of course, the Kree coming back to deal with their failed experiment as they see Hive to be. So again, a lot of failure going on in this episode, but productive failure. Things are still happening, and again, sometimes even a failure is a success in the range of you are now at least learning something and know the directions to go in from now on. And let's start this all off with Lincoln back at the S.H.I.E.L.D. base. And his opening even bit with May there, where he is complaining to May that they don't really know how he feels and they don't understand. And May shooting right back, no, we've known her longer than you have. Yes, we all care, but we can't make stupid mistakes. We can't just dive right in without knowing what it is we're doing, without having a certain plan. But this is really evident of Lincoln's kind of unstable attitude without a center around him, without Daisy with him. And I really like this manifestation of Lincoln. From a character standpoint, it really sets up a great arc for him, assuming that he is the one that lives through this. I know someone's going to die. That's the big theme of this end of the season. But I really like where he is coming from, that unstableness, that willing to just jump right in and do what has to be done without necessarily thinking ahead of time. It's that sort of amateur approach towards espionage that I think is the creation of a great arc to where we could see him later on down the road once he overcomes all of these things. But right now he is obsessed and he is love-struck and he is willing to make errors. He is willing to risk his life in order to try and save Daisy. And that really ties in a lot with what Fitz was doing, specifically in this scene where Lincoln and Simmons are kind of arguing about what to do, and Simmons is shooting back, you are just love-struck, willing to make stupid mistakes. And Coulson looks over and says, Fitz? What do you think? And that's kind of a perfect comparison there, because Lincoln is doing a lot of what Fitz was at the beginning of this season, when he was willing to do anything to risk his own life in order to save Simmons. Lincoln is really doing the same thing, maybe a bit more carelessly. At least Fitz seems to have some plan of what it was that he was trying to do. Lincoln a little bit more, like I said, without a plan. Just willing to kind of dive in and take those big risks. But I really like having those comparisons between, and even later on, after Lincoln injected himself and he's talking with Fitz, he's like, Fitz, you know what I'm talking about? And Fitz is like, no, no, I wouldn't have disobeyed orders, which he actually did. But he has to back up Gemma. And again, backing up a little bit here, The dialogue sequences between Fitz and Simmons really are beautiful in this episode. It's really a return to the old banter, almost way back in Caesar 1, but now with those little added levels to it. You know, they really have each other's back. They're laughing back and forth. Their comparisons of who had it worse in the last episode when he was saying, "Oh, you didn't see Daisy. You know, she was talking like we were best friends all the same while threatening to kill me." And then, and then Simmons shoots back, "Oh yeah, that's not nearly as bad as talking to the dead walking corpse of Grant Ward that was acting like my ex-boyfriend." It was just really, the dialogue in this episode and linking all of these points together, really tight, really consistent. There isn't a wasted moment, there isn't a wasted line, really, in the entire episode. Meanwhile, back at Hive Central, we have Hive attempting to recreate the experiment that created him, specifically attempting to take regular humans and use the same experimental techniques that Kree had used on him to directly create Inhumans from that. And to do this, he is using what appears to be the remaining heads of Hydra, the few that have actually escaped the purge of the ATCU following up the information that Malik had given them. So these are the last remaining heads of Hydra. And I really was unsure why you were attempting to experiment on them. The assumption, of course, that I would have is, by the time you brought them up, is that they had tried this on some other people, and it had worked, and now they're moving on to the heads of Hydra. But that was not the case, of course, with that beautiful Raiders of the Lost Ark face-melting sequence at the end there. And I loved also the little bits in, and I'm sure that you caught that, the nice Civil War references coming up, that only a billionaire can build an iron suit and that only the military can create super soldiers, and that will create conflict unto themselves. It was just kind of perfect, subtle-ish reference to Civil War, which is coming out in 2 days. So a nice little bit right there. But really, the key to these scenes is John Hannah as Holden Radcliffe. He is perfect in this role, and again gives the perfect explanation of what had happened to those heads of Hydra when he says, "I'm sorry, I was excited, I just kind of got caught up in the moment." Really embodying this character. I think John Hannah was the perfect choice for this character, of someone who is really excited about the work that he's doing, really in it for the cutting edge science. As he told Hive there, you know, "You're very scary too." Rather is he wants to do this. He wants to do this because this is cutting edge. This is just a buildup of what he was already doing, as we saw in the Cyber Club last episode, is that modification of humans, that bringing humanity to the next level. This is how he sees it. So again, not so much as a villain, though willing certainly to make bad choices and make sacrifices that most people generally wouldn't, but really just obsessed with the results, really overly into the science of it. And I just think that he personifies this character beautifully. Now, the scenes between James and Daisy, I thought, were informative in several ways. One, it's really showing the fact that these people, while under Hive's influence, still retain their own personalities. They are not mindless drones in any way, shape, or form. They are themselves. They are who they are. They just have different loyalties now. And I was trying to just see how all of that manifested. But really, ultimately, like I said, it's just now they are viewing the world through a different lens, and a kind of scary lens, as we start to see Daisy's thoughts and ideas of how to progress, how to save her friends. She's still seeing her people, everyone at S.H.I.E.L.D. as her friends. They just don't understand. But as James had pointed out, they're on the other side, so he doesn't really see how this is not going to end bloody in one way or the other. Which gives Daisy the very sick and twisted idea of, oh, well, we'll just turn them into Inhumans. That's kind of, that is her solution to dealing with these conflicts. And it makes sense in kind of a twisted, ideal sense. Again, her loyalty is now tied in to Hive. So as she's viewing the rest of the world, it's not, again, that she is seeing S.H.I.E.L.D. generally, initially at least, as the enemy, really more as just people that don't understand. And also a little bit later on when May shows up and talks with James at the bar, another thing that comes out is Hive doesn't see through his people. They're not a kind of direct connection. Yes, it makes them loyal to him, but it's not like he's able to glean information from the people that have been infected by him. Specifically because there's no recognition of May. There is no heads up. They play it nicely like it is. In that whole scene with Daisy when he is saying, what about, your people at S.H.I.E.L.D.? Are you willing to fight them if necessary? They're on their way. It's not S.H.I.E.L.D. that he's referring to, it's the Kree, which of course he had to summon with the alien device, find out what that was finally, to bring them down so John Hannah could have the actual Kree blood to finish his experiment. But they did tie that in kind of nicely, so there was a lot of thought for a moment is, does he know that S.H.I.E.L.D. is there? Does he see that? But no, he doesn't. So at least it's a good knowledge of the limitations of what Hive's powers are. So if you look at the actual attack on Hive, that was another nicely carried out sequence, a nice build-up. And if we go back to even the early scenes between Coulson and Mack, and by the way, great scene with Coulson as he's sitting at his desk staring at the monitors as it's processing all the facial recognition, and he is just unmoving as the rest of the world is speeding around him, really just showing the intensity, the focus that Coulson has to solve this problem. Daisy is not only one of his top agents, but again, a strong personal connection. He is dedicated to finding out, can he save his agent? Can he stop Hive? Mack a little more caught up in the ideas that when they do find her, there's a part of her that wants to be saved. And there's a good amount of evidence because, like we said, Hive's influence just changes loyalty. It doesn't change who you are. So there might be a part, it's reasonable to assume that there might be a part of Daisy that's actually trying to get back, to try and be saved, to try and reconnect in with S.H.I.E.L.D. So you can't really fault Mack for thinking that, but ultimately we do find out that Coulson is right, that he is letting his emotions draw conclusions for him. But just a great sequence there where they kind of deal with that issue and then suddenly, well, that's perfect because I need you to go and head to the town, take May, we're going to take Hive out. And I like the prep scene before they actually land and what happens if we can't stop Hive? Well, then I would recommend running away very, very fast. It was just perfectly done. Great moments of Coulson humor in there, but also very realistic with what you've got to do in this situation. So, S.H.I.E.L.D. gets to the town and we get to find all the summations of these moments. First, the Kree dealing with Hive in sort of a beautiful grudge match, as May said. Looks like there's 1,000 years, actually a couple thousand years really, of frustration that's sort of dealt into this fight. And it goes back and forth nicely for a little while, but ultimately, of course, Hive now has thousands of years of experience built into him. What we find out with the Kree is they're kind of orbiting in a suspended animation outside of Earth's orbit and some, reasonable close somewhere in the solar system, I would guess. Just as kind of a backup. And what the device does is it signals them to awaken and come down to Earth to deal with the Inhumans. That's what the Point Reavers are. So it's not like they've been chilling out on the home world or anything like that, doing the rest of their lives and just sort of waiting for something to happen. These are the same Reavers from way back when. They've just been sort of in suspended animation. So they're looking at things from the old perspective, whereas Hive, again, has those thousands of years of experience, plus he's in Grant Ward's body, who is an assassin, a beautiful super assassin on his own. So building all that up on top of it, not really good for the Kree. And it just, again, just great sequences back and forth where even Hive is saying, hey, we could work together. Oh, I guess not. Well then, and done. Which causes S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to shoot at him. And my only question with that is, why didn't anyone shoot him in the head? You shoot him in the body. Shoot him in the head. In the head. Always, always, always in the head. But they don't. They leave Brett Dalton's face all pretty. Nice blowing off the shoulder and then just sort of reforming back up. With the sort of tentacle oozy thing, is that the little bit of the secret form of Hive that we don't see? Just thought that was really nicely done. And then, of course, everybody turn and run. In the meantime, of course, Mack has also just sidestepped the orders that he was given not to try and save Daisy and goes right in to try and do just that. And it was a nice scene between the two of them of really Mack just giving it all up to try and say, Daisy, look, you've got to come back. We care about you. And this is where you can see that sort of twisted vision of that Hive loyalty sort of comes in. Because, man, Daisy was cruel. I mean, just right out mean with the whole, Bobby and Hunter thing, and they didn't have anything left to care about. And yeah, I kind of saw you as like an older brother type because I needed anything, but you were, just really everything that was coming out of her mouth was just cruel, just mean. So it's not just changing loyalties, it really is sort of twisting total viewpoints. How she ended up looking at S.H.I.E.L.D. and really taking in what Hive was saying to her. Is like, no, S.H.I.E.L.D's not this. They're just they're fighters. They're there to create soldiers. They're there to create armies. Which is funny because that's exactly what Hive is doing. Even though, as he says it, he's attempting a more of a collectivist approach. But really just twisting everything out. So at this point when she is confronting Mack, just every reference to S.H.I.E.L.D., anything like that, isn't they had helped, they weren't trying to do anything, as she'd started to say at the beginning of the episode. At this point, she is really converted over and just everything about S.H.I.E.L.D. is horrible and they're just doing bad things and they're just like Hydra and blah, blah, blah. So again, really just showing the effects of the mindset that Hive manifests in. Love the fights. When she's fighting the Kree as well as fighting Mack, you can see the lot of her fighting style is designed around breaking joints and bones. Did that to the Kree, took out the arm, took out both knees, forced him to drop out, and then crushed the spine. That was beautiful. And the same thing in with Mack as she's fighting him off. It's taking out this arm, taking out that arm, really tearing him down bit by bit, psychologically and physiologically. Very, very kind of cruel. So eventually she's knocked back as May shoots her in the shoulder as they run out trying to run from Hive, get her, and then right back in the emergency little escape chute, which was also very cool. Just drops down, jump right in, get out. That's beautiful. I would like one of those to get through traffic personally. So by the end of episode, what we have found out is that all the experiments have failed. The antivirus that Fitzsimmons was coming up, that Lincoln tried on himself, that didn't work. Mack's attempting to connect in with Daisy, obviously that didn't work, and he's going to be paying for that for quite some time, piecing those bones back together. Hive's experiment on the Hydra heads and everyone else obviously did not work with the whole melty face thing. That was beautiful. And of course the Kree returning to try and fix their failed experiment, as it beautifully points out, also does not go the way that they think. Though Mack did take out the last Kree that was having his blood drained, so at least there was a little bit of a win there, but that doesn't last that long because, as Daisy points out, there's Kree blood in her. That's what Coulson used back at Tahiti to fix her. So now they have a potential source of Kree blood. Now the only odd thing about that, thinking of, is, well, it's been like a year and a half, 2 years, year and a half. It's been quite some time, so I don't know how much of that's actually really kind of left in her system, has been flushed, hasn't been integrated in with everything. Again, this was even before her Inhuman shift. So I'm not sure how pure and accessible that is, but like John Hanna had pointed out earlier on, hey, but it's not the blood of a dead but handsome corpse that Hive's inhabiting. So my guess is, of course, they're going to be able to pull something out of that. And her willingness to, hey, I'm sorry I failed you, but you can drain me now. There's just sort of a really twisted moment there of like, I know that that I failed, but here I can at least sacrifice myself for the greater good. I don't think it's going to cost her life, but that's still the same kind of idea behind it. So, again, lots of failed experiments, but still coming up with useful information. One, the antivirus that Fitzsimmons was working on isn't going to work. Two, you're going to have to take out Hive, though he appears to be at this stage unstoppable. They've got to find something else that's going to work with him. Now, whether or not the injection that Lincoln took, if injected directly into Hive, might do something, I don't know. That would be worth a shot. I mean, pretty soon they're going to have to throw everything but the kitchen sink and probably even that at him to try and stop. But next week, there's only 2 episodes left. We got next Tuesday, and then we got the Tuesday after that, the 10th and the 17th. The 17th is going to be 2 hours, so it's like 2 episodes there. But really ramping up towards the end. In 2 days. In 2 days. I mean, for some of us, actually tomorrow night, I'm going to go see it. It's Civil War. Been so excited about this. I will drop a review, a spoiler-filled review, probably on Friday. That is my aim for that. But this is our big link up, because once that happens, then that's going, again, to change the world that S.H.I.E.L.D. is in. They're going to have to reveal the work that they've been doing in with the Inhumans. They're going to have to pull in Talbot and the rest of the military. It's going to change the whole atmosphere of which they are working in. Much like the last Captain America did. This probably not as significant as then, but still giant, big changes that are happening in, and I can't wait to see where this is going on. And so that wraps things up for this week. Go ahead and hit that like button if you did enjoy this review. Not a subscriber yet? Hit that subscribe button. It's right there. Join us every week. Got a quick shout out to Monk1234, new subscriber. Welcome to the group. Glad to have you here. Do you have ideas? Do you want a shout out? Throw some comments down in that section below. I try to respond to every comment that's there. Really had some great engaging conversations with a few of you. Means a lot. I'd love to continue that forward. So, next week, one more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Following that is the big finale. So 2 weeks left. But this weekend, it's Civil War. Preview is tomorrow night, opening officially on Friday. I'll be dropping that spoiler review on Friday for you. So, that's it for me. You can catch me on Twitter. I'm at Darren Jakes. Other than that, I will see you guys probably in 2 days. I hope you're going to catch it. Hope you will enjoy the film as much as I expect that I'm going to. All right, I'll see you guys then. I'm D, and I'm out of here. You guys take it easy. Bye-bye.